This is 2 p.m. Tokyo time. Revision 2021, 10 years from 3/11, a new energy future. The afternoon program shall start. In the morning, towards 2050, in order to realize decarbonized society across the world, we have looked at the status. By 2030, 2040, 2050, we have tried to think about the future. The first part of the afternoon program is from IRENA, International Renewable Energy Agency. The Director General, Mr. Francesco da Camera, will be the first speaker. From 2 years ago, he took the office of DG of IRENA. He is an expert of climate change, sustainability, international cooperation, active for more than 30 years. He is joining us from Abu Dhabi. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, dear Mika. It seems that I have some problem with my video, but hopefully it can start.
Director General, please on your camera.
Yeah, I seem to have a problem in opening my camera. So I hope that you can hear me. And my slides are running by Jada. So thank you, Mika. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. As we mark the 10 years anniversary of the devastating tsunami and the disaster on Fukushima, I wish to express our heartfelt condolence and our sympathy for all those that have lost a loved one and who have suffered the effect. We met in person last year, and allow me, remembering that visit, to send my special greetings to my dear friends, Minister Taro and Minister Shinjiro Koizumi, that I had the pleasure to meet in that occasion, as well as Thomas, Yuko, Mika, yourself, and all the people of the Renewable Energy Institute. Since then, the effect of the pandemic profoundly impacted our lives, our societies, and our economies. The economic downturn was clearly visible in the energy sector. We saw energy demand plummet. We saw the oil markets collapse. And we saw the comparative resilience of renewables across the globe. If we ever needed additional arguments for energy transition, these were provided in 2020. And the theme for this year conference, A New Energy Future, aptly captured the sentiment of the task ahead. We need energy systems that are resilient, modern, and ready to support the 21st century economy. But they also must be inclusive, and they must be safe for people and gentle on the planet. My first key message here today is that the energy sector shows incredible opportunities that were unforeseeable a decade ago. Technical advances and spectacular cost reduction in renewables and energy transition-related technologies have opened new possibilities which were only hopes in the past. In the slide, you can see very clearly how the cost of the renewables has been declining sharply in the last year, and now they all fall in the area of fossil fuel cost and are going year after year to be more competitive. 10 years ago, renewables were considered a luxury. Today, they are the least cost option for new capacity in almost all parts of the world. IRENA annual cost report, based on our data from 70,000 real-world projects, shows that renewable technologies have become competitive with fossil fuels and nuclear power. In Japan, the levelized cost of electricity of solar PV decreased by 64% in the last 10 years. And we find it could decrease another 62% by 2030. Policy intervention such as auction can help further reduce prices. IRENA's recent report on auction in Japan shows how many of the challenges that Japanese auction has faced can be tackled through auction design elements. Our global analysis finds that more than half of the renewable capacity added in 2019 achieved lower power cost than the cheapest nuclear plant. And we find this year that up to 1,200 gigawatt of existing coal capacity could cost more to operate than installing new utility-scale solar PV. Continued investment in fossil fuels will only lead to an even greater number of stranded assets. In this regard, Japan's efforts on limiting support for reversible coal-fired plants are a step in the right direction. A new energy future is also possible because of the technological advances in operating systems with high share of renewables. A decade ago, many claimed that operating grids with more than 10% renewables would be very challenging. Today, a growing number of countries, including major industrial countries, are running their system reliably with high share of variable renewable energy. For example, in 2019, the share of variable renewable energy in the power generation mix in Denmark was over 50% and 34% in Germany. Continued innovation is needed across different dimensions, including enabling technologies, business models, market design, and system operation as more countries aim for 100% or close to 100% renewables. But we already have solutions for high ambition. IRENA identified 30 flexibility options that can be combined into comprehensive solution, taking into account the national and regional power system specifics. In its Global Innovation Landscape report that is available on our website. So all this innovation you may find in this paper. Naturally, this requires updating infrastructure, pumped hydro storage, batteries, demand response, including power to heat, electrical vehicles and electrolyzer, as well as interconnection between regions are particularly promising existing solution for Japan to reliably operate its grids with higher share of variable renewables. Advances in offshore renewables and green hydrogen, among others, can also enable further progress. IRENA established multi-stakeholders a collaborative framework on this topic to enable the sharing of best practice and collective action. In the graph, you can see how renewables have become the world's main source of new power generation capacity. 1/3 of global power capacity are now renewables. And as you can see in the last years, the installed capacity of renewables has been outpacing systematically the fossil fuel one. And this trend is continuing. Indications are that 2020 was a record year for wind and solar PV markets. Remarkably, the US consumed more renewable energy than coal last year for the first time since 1885. And in the UK, electricity from renewables outpaced gas and coal power. The market is now driving the energy transition. The problem is that it's not doing fast enough, and emissions continue to rise at a time when we face a climate emergency. As you can see from the slides, please go ahead on the slides. This shows the contribution that the renewables as other form of energy can provide to the mix. My second key message is that this new energy future promises a more inclusive, equitable, and prosperous future. We had a once-in-a-generation political opening to place the energy transition at the heart of recovery program, allowing policymakers to reconcile the need for climate safety with social and economic objectives. You can see from the slides what has been the result of our post-COVID agenda. We say that as the COVID pandemic impacts lives and livelihoods, policymakers are looking for ways to restart the economy and job creation, while also strengthening resilience against future shocks. With trillions of public funds being injected into the global economy, we have an opportunity to trigger much-needed structural change and move towards a new energy future. Japan's economic support for the development on-site renewables to support corporate power purchase agreement under the Climate Group Renewable Energy 100 initiative is an innovative example of possible measures to be taken. IRENA's post-COVID recovery reports look at these issues holistically, linking our long-term Paris-aligned scenario with short-term social and economic priorities. And we find that $2 trillion of energy transformation investment will be required each year in the recovery phase between 2021 and 2023. This investment will create an additional 5.5 million jobs by 2023, adding to the 11.5 million current renewables jobs. Socioeconomic benefits would already accrue in the first 3 years of recovery program. In fact, recovery investment linked to the energy transition could boost GDP by an additional 1% per year on average. My first key message today is that we must move faster. Time is the most important variable in our race for a new, safe, and prosperous energy future. We need a fundamental transformation of the energy system based on technologies that are available and deployable at scale today. Incremental change will be not enough. Science tells us what contour of the new energy system will look like. According to the IPCC special report on 1.5 Celsius, energy emission must reach zero in 2050. Oil and coal should have already peaked, and gas should peak in 2025. IRENA has been working for several years on developing energy scenario aligned with the Paris Agreement and the IPCC report. We will build on this work, including the Global Renewable Outlook, which you depicted here in our forthcoming energy transition outlook. As you can see from the slides, we have three scenarios. One is concerning the planet scenario, that is our actual plan. What could be for going to below the 2 degrees in 2050, and what we have to do for going to the deep zero scenario. And as we see, renewables, energy efficiency are playing a major role, and naturally also green hydrogen will play a major role. So the energy future will be designed in our assessment based on renewables and complemented by green hydrogen and modern bioenergy. All our new World Energy Transition Outlook, we will release, as I say, a preview on the 16th March at the Berlin Energy Transition Dialogue. The central element of IRENA pathway is accelerating renewables and efficient measures, as I told you, along with rapid and indirect electrification. Green hydrogen and modern bioenergy will be key pieces in the efforts to helping us to decarbonize hard-to-abate sector. Circular economy approach will also make an important contribution. IRENA, director of our research center in Bonn, Dolph Gillen, will discuss our scenario for 2050 and the path to net zero in more detail later today. My fourth message is achieving a fast and effective repositioning of the energy system requires unparalleled levels of ambition and international cooperation. We must recalibrate our perception of what is possible to align with what is necessary. That is the only way to realize a new climate-safe future. It is encouraging that almost 30 countries, including Japan, have set targets to achieve net zero in the coming decades. And I'm sure that the push from my friend has been decisive to get this result in terms of policy announcement. IRENA is working with many of these countries and this global membership at large on supporting them to realize their climate and development objectives. Not one country has all the answers, and continual knowledge exchange on best practice and emerging solution will be essential. 2021 is a consequential year for energy. The UN Secretary General will convene a high-level dialogue on energy in September, and IRENA is honored to co-lead the energy transition team with UNEP and UNESCO. On the request of its global membership, IRENA will also host a high-level forum on energy transition. Along with COP26 later this year, these are important milestones for collective action. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an opportunity to seize. Energy transition to renewables can bring prosperity, equality, and a cleaner environment. If we want a beautiful and harmonious future as the one envisaged by Japan, who entered the REvision era almost 2 years ago, we cannot continue with business as usual. As we face multiple crises, government must lead the way and invest in people, institutions, and the right frameworks to accelerate this new energy future. The private sector and civil society also have a vital role to play in the shift to sustainable energy. Let me conclude by reiterating that thanks to the progress made in the recent year, we had the technology already in our hands to move to a renewable-based and resilient energy system. What we need now is political will and ambitions. Japan is well positioned to lead by example and to use its expertise, ingenuity, and resources to support the energy transition at home and abroad. It has recognized the importance of energy transition early on, and it has been a steadfast supporter of IRENA since its foundation. We look forward to continuing working with Japan and all stakeholders in the energy transition. Let's build together a beautiful and harmonious future. Thank you. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. There was the message for Japan. For example, for the global decarbonization, what role Japan might be able to play, and for Japan to decarbonize, what we should do. Can you elaborate a bit more?
Director General, I have asked the two questions.
Please go ahead. Sorry, I didn't listen, so please go ahead.
To the global decarbonization, and also for Japan itself, how we can reach the decarbonization? Is there any advice from yourself?
Thank you, Mika. I have to say honestly that Japan has shown in the, if I can say, especially in the recent time, the strong political willingness to go for accelerating its path on the energy transition. This is for sure, this is evident, and I have to say this has been very much welcomed around the world. So Japan is absolutely a leader in the energy transition, is getting this role, not only for domestic concern, but not only in domestic area, but Japan can play a very important role in all the region. You have a huge potential in many areas of renewable energy. And I'm sure with your wise energy, and I repeat, I have the chance to discuss with the Japan perspective already with the Minister Taro, with the Minister Koizumi last year. It was very well evident that Japan was going to lead this process. So I think that also there is a huge potential in offshore wind. There is your capacity for making the grid working in a very smart mode. There are costs that are decreasing. I think that you are perfectly in line to lead the change domestically and to support countries in all Asia. Thank you, Mika.
Thank you very much. Then indeed, we will be inviting the two ministers who have just been mentioned by DG La Camera. First of all, Minister of Environment, Mr. Shinjiro Koizumi. Indeed, he's going to tell us about the pathway towards decarbonization. There are discussions at multiple levels, and he plays one of the most important roles. Minister Koizumi's video message.
Hello, I'm Shinjiro Koizumi. I'd like to express my sincere congratulations on the convening of REvision2021, sponsored by REI. Ever since I became minister, minister in 2019. I'm in my second term, and I have received very constructive and significant recommendations from the REI. And finally, in the world of climate change, we're on the playing field where everyone is saying that Japan is back. We've come that far. In the first term, after I became minister, I have focused on reviewing coal policy. And last year, during the 1 year, there has been a breakthrough in the 3 C's, including coal policy. The first C is coal, and the second is carbon neutral, and third is carbon pricing. The 3 C's is where we have seen a breakthrough, and this year we're trying to focus on the laws, innovation in the rules, and furthermore, carbon pricing. This is new rules, and that's innovation as well. And 2050 toward carbon neutral, it's not 30 years that will make a difference. The next 5-10 years is very crucial. And with that view, the ministry will concentrate in the 5 years on creating advanced carbon neutral areas. And we will expand the decarbonization areas. We'd like to create a domino effect of decarbonization. When I became minister, the local governments have declared carbon neutral in 2050 were 4 in terms of population that was 20 million. Now the number has grown to an amazing 300 local governments, and the population grew from 20 million to 100 million all of a sudden. And the ministry has worked on people regarding the fact that the carbon neutral declaration should be made. And in October, after Prime Minister Suga came into office, he declared carbon neutral. United States came back to the Paris Agreement, and all of the G7 countries have declared carbon neutral. And so we have contributed to international collaboration against this background. Just because we declare carbon neutral doesn't mean we can catch up immediately. We cannot make up for the delay. The coming years are critical. At the Diet this time, we have submitted a draft revision on the Act on Promotion of the Global Warming Countermeasures. In it, we have stopped not only at the declaration by the Prime Minister on carbon neutral by 2050. Within the laws, we have specifically made explicit mention of a deadline of 2050, and this is really exceptional as a law. And furthermore, within the law, there is a provision for creation of renewable energy promotion areas. The local governments, there is a rumor among local governments that renewable energy is a nuisance, and there are moves even to try to control renewable energy. We want to reverse this trend. We want to work together with each and every local government to create the renewable energy promotion areas. So 2030, we hope that in the regions, the renewable energy will take root with a robust money flow as well. We want to double renewable energy. On the part of the Environment Ministry, an unprecedented creation of the Council for National and Local Decarbonization within the Prime Minister's office has materialized. That we are playing an administrative role, and we'd like to use this council to create model cases for the entire country. Among the players who are participating in this international symposium include not only Japanese players, but participants from other parts of the world. On the part of the ministry, we want to include and engage other cities of the world so they would cooperate with local governments that have embraced the decarbonization by 2050. The zero carbon city, once we reach 100 million of population, we want to roll that out into the world. Going forward, the country as well as local governments, businesses, and each and every citizen have to change their lifestyles. Otherwise, carbon neutral will not materialize. At this session of the Diet, we have submitted a new draft law on plastics. Going forward, we want to establish the circular economy. This has not penetrated as yet. It's difficult to penetrate, but a non-throwaway economy. We want to achieve a breakthrough so the economy will head in this direction. We want to achieve a breakthrough through this new law. I share the ambition that I want to leverage the potential of renewable energy, and to the fullest extent to create a new nation, a new region. I share that with the members of the REI. So we have a renewable energy potential which is close to 2 times. So we want to leverage that and work together, transition to the decarbonized society, circular economy, and decentralized community, and to redesign the economy and society is something that I have strong ambitions for. So I'd like to work with all of you. I'd like to close by wishing the symposium much success. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
This was the video message from Minister Koizumi. So far, the terminology innovation in the discussion of Japan meant technological advancement. However, policy innovation is important. As DG Francesco mentioned, we do have resources, including man, money, and resources. Indeed, how to leverage our expertise, what we need is policy innovation. Next, inviting Taro Kono, Minister of State for Regulatory Reform, also in charge of administrative reform. He wears many hats. He is the Minister for Regulatory Reform as well as administrative reform, also in charge of vaccination against COVID-19. He has been the Foreign Minister, the Defense Minister, expansion of renewable and climate change countermeasures. He has already been working on that. At the moment, he is focusing on regulatory reform, and he is trying to eliminate the barriers to expanding renewables. I am trying to support the minister as much as I can. This is the video message by Kono-san.
Dear participants of the Revision 2021, good afternoon. I'm Kono Taro, Minister of State for Regulatory Reform. I've had the pleasure of attending revision meetings in person several times. I have heard that this time is an online forum connecting the world. and hoping to see another round of active discussions this year as well. I think that Japan has finally come to formulate a plan comparable to other countries with Prime Minister Suga's declaration to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. Since Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident, 10 years have passed. The Abe and Suga cabinets have a common policy to lower dependency on nuclear power generation as much as possible, and to realize carbon neutrality by 2050. We first must conserve energy and take more fundamental measures, including setting an insulation standard for housing, which is lagging behind. As for introducing renewable energy, finally, we are looking at the world, trying to catch up and trying to become better. And with this momentum, we need to introduce renewable energy. As for requests I receive from the business circle for regulatory reform, the first is digitalization of administrative procedures. But the next strong request is to carry out a regulatory reform on renewable energy with a faster sense of speed. For instance, Apple declared that they would go 100% renewable energy, and they seem to have achieved it already. Now, not only companies use 100% renewables, but they are demanding the same from their supply chains, expecting them to achieve 100 renewables by 2030. I've heard that such requests have been made. Naturally, it's time Japanese manufacturers aimed at that goal. Yet, many makers are having a real difficulty in sourcing renewables at an appropriate cost. To start with, the absolute volume of renewables is small. Even if you can procure it, it is very costly. Many top leaders have a sense of crisis that if nothing is done, manufacturers will simply have no other option but to exit Japan. We established a renewable energy task force that reports to me. It will address various renewables-related regulations in each ministry. Our aim is to carry out reforms one way or another to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050, with some areas deregulated, while in some areas they might require new rules, all of which will be addressed solidly by this task force. We'd like to work with you so that Japan can make a steady progress towards the new goal, carbon neutrality by 2050, by breaking down silos. Let me close my remarks by wishing you a successful symposium, active discussions, and a promising start of Japan's new plan towards 2050 on a solid basis. Thank you for your kind attention.